The way you score darts depends on which game of darts is being played. There is the baseball 0-1 game, cricket, legs, etc. and they all have different rules on how to play the game and score on the mark. The general rule is that you score in darts by checking the position of the dart on the dartboard. The dartboard is formed with its surface divided into 20 sections, which are numbers. These sections score from 1 to 20 points. Circular spiders or metallic wires subdivide each section within the outer wire. They are subdivided into the single area, double, and triple areas. The darts that hit the board are the ones matter, and that is what is counted as a score. There is a standard version that most dart games use. This is where the players must start and finish with a double scoring dart. Standard games, the score begins with 501 and the player's scores keep being deducted from this 501 while aiming to be the first to finish. This is why you score on the last dart with a double point in order the final score to be 0. In single area, double ring, and triple ring, on the dartboards, we have large portions, inner portions, and thin outer region. When the dart hits any of the large portion, each of these numbered sections will score the player the points that are in these sections. On the dartboard, we have numbers indicated in each section. Since this is the single area, it will award you this exact point. When the dart lands on the thin outer portion, which is colored either red or green, it will score you double points on the value that is on the dartboard. This is known as the double ring. The highest point here is where you are able to attain a double 20. This is referred to as double tap. It is used to reflect the 20's position on the dartboard. Hitting the section in the thin inner portion of the dartboard but just halfway to the middle will score you triple points. This means that the number that is engraved on the dartboard, you multiply it by 3. This is also either green or red, but no matter the color, it still gives you triple points. The bullseye. The centermost circle is known as the bullseye. It is, however, divided into either the inner circle or the outer ring of the central ring. The outer ring of the bullseye, which is green in color, is worth 25 points. It is also known as the iris, outer ball, or just the outer. The innermost circle of the dartboard, which is either red or black, earns you 50 points. It is also known as ball, inner volley, or double ball. Bullseye can mean just the red, black, innermost rings or either of these rings. However, the bull's ring in the green outer ring, people are mostly confusing these terms and find themselves using interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. When you are double in or out, you double the results after the count the inner ball. Recording the dart scores. There requires an ability to multiply, add, and subtract correctly in order to record the scores. The scores after the 3 throws are added up and subtract from the total of the team to produce the correct score. For example, in 501 game, there is 3 darts. You shoot 1 dart in a single area, which is 14 points. In second dart, it hit in the bullseye, which worth of 50 points. In the 3 dart, you hit in black single area with worth of 3 points. So to add those numbers or points, 14 plus 50 plus 3 is equals to 67 points. And subtract it in 501. So your total points or score is 434. In the next round, you hit 3 dart in the bullseye. It's worth of 50 points, so you multiply the 50 points in 3 because you hit it 3 times. So 50 times 3 is equals to 150 points. Subtract it to your current score, which is 434. So 434 minus 150 is equals to 284. So your total score is 284. Added rules. The wires that are found in between the sections are known as spiders, and when the darts hit any of them, they will mostly bounce back and will not be able to earn you any points. Hitting the area out of the outermost wire will also not score you any point. Unless, when using an electronic board, a dart that remains on the board until it is collected by the player is also counted as a point. This is in a case where the dart is not able to withstand the impact of a throw and its then bounces back and falls down. It is hard to tell exactly where it had it. It is not taken as a point. However, if playing on an electronic board, the dart falling out all the time will be counted as a point. It is also taken as a point if the point of the dart is touching the surface of the board or it is embedded in the playing surface. If by any chance this dart hits the board from any angle or hits its side but remains held by either or the two darts that had been thrown earlier, then it is taken as a point. In this situation, it will score points is equal to where the dart point is touching. Every player is given 3 darts to throw at any turn. The maximum possible score at any given turns is 180. This happens when each of these 3 darts land in the triple 20 in the 3 throws. Scoring in archery is very simple. You just add up the number of points based on where your arrows hit the target. The highest score for a single arrow is 10 for hitting the inner gold ring, while the least for hitting the outer white ring is 1 point. Arrows missing the target altogether do not score at all. Point values. The number of points awarded for hitting a specific color or ring on a target depends on several factors. Whether you are shooting indoors or outdoors, or whether you are shooting an imperial or metric round. The various scoring systems are shown below. Although they may look complicated at first, there are really only 2 main systems: learn, imperial, or metric. If you shoot compound, there is an additional indoor scoring system which makes it harder for compounds to score at 10 by use of a smaller tin 10 ring. Outdoor scoring. The number of hits and golds and 9s are used to resolve score in bricks. Outdoor scoring in metric rounds. This is the only system where the innermost goal counts as 10 points but it is marked as an X on the scorecard. The number of X's is used to resolve score tie bricks. Indoor shooting. Target faces. Again, most of the metric and imperial are shot on the standard 5-color face. The face may be 80 cm, 60 cm, or 40 cm depending on the round. There are always 2 variations of the standard single faces. The Vegas face used for one specific round. Both these faces have 3 targets which include only inner blue to gold rings of the standard target 5 zone. The possible score range is therefore 6 to 10 each of 3 arrows is shot at a different one of the 3 targets, primarily to prevent arrow damage from shots. There is also a special black and white face which is only ever used in shooting the Worcester round. This has a possible score range of 1 to 5. Indoor, recurve, and long bows. All indoor rounds shoot with a recurve or long bow use the above 1 to 10 scoring system where both the inner and the innermost golds count as 10. Indoor compound bows only. Indoor rounds shoot with a compound bow use the above scoring system where both the outer and inner gold count as 9 and only the innermost gold counts as 10. Indoor or Worcester's round. It is all about all bows. The indoor Worcester's round is an exception to the colored scoring faces. It is shot on a special target with 4 black outer rings and a white inner ring. The outer rings score 1 to 4 with the inner ring scoring 5. It is also the only round where you shoot 5 arrows per end. The scorepad. This is the scorepad. A scorepad with the first 12 arrows recorded. Regardless of the type of round you are shooting or the brand of scorepad you are using, your score is recorded in a similar way with a slight difference between metric and metric, both imperial and metric rounds. Every time you collect your arrows, your scores are recorded from highest to lowest. For example, if your 3 indoor arrows scored 4 and 2 8s, you will record as 884. If your next 3 scored 2 5s and a 9 will be recorded as 955 of your score will read 884955. If 6 outdoors arrows scored as 3 9s, a miss, a 5 and a 3, you will record this as 9953, a miss. Write this from left to right in the boxes provided. Each end, add up of the score for the 6 arrows and write it in the end box. Repeat the process for the next 6 arrows. Add up the scores for both the ends on the line. and write that in the dozen box. The final box on the line is the RT or running total, which for the first line in the dozen figure. Imperial rounds. Score hits and golds, 9s. Add up the number of hits for those 12 arrows and write that in the H box. Add up the number of golds for those 12 arrows and write that in the G box. Metric rounds. Score 10s and X's. Add up the number of 10s for those 12 arrows and write that in the 10s box. Slightly confusingly, people sometimes also refer to this as golds. Add up the number of X for those 12 arrows and write that in the X's box. That completes your scoring for your first dozen arrows and finishes the first line of your score sheets. You can see an example of a completed first line in the example above. Repeat these steps for the next dozen arrows to complete the second line. This time, RT, running total, tell the sum of the first 2 dozen scores. Repeat the process for the correct number of arrows in the round you are shooting. Once you have finished the required number of arrows, add up the total number of 10s and X or hits and golds and record. This together with your total score in the appropriate totals boxes at the bottom of the sheet. As an example, an archer shooting a long national round must shoot the following combination of arrows. 4 dozen arrows at 80 yards. 2 dozen arrows at 60 yards. Note that as this is an imperial round, the only potential scores are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, and 9 counts as gold. A few basic but important notes, especially for the competitions. Don't touch the arrows or the target face until all the arrows for all archers have been recorded. Point to the arrow nocks as you call each arrow. If you are calling out your scores for someone else to record, call them in batches of 3, 99 pause, 53 miss. This makes it easier for the person recording the score. If there is any sort of dispute over the score of an arrow that the archers on the target can agree on, don't pull any arrows until the field captain or judge has been called and made their decision. Complete the scoring before collecting any arrows that overshoot the target. Obviously, collect that fell short as you approach the target before someone stand on them.